Pretty good. Now we're going to learn about good morning. First of all, good morning, everyone. And here, and Chanukah Sameach, have a happy Chanukah. Let's see, people used it. Okay, and let us give charity. Let's begin the day by giving to others, giving that charity. Give the charity. Charity saves from death. Tzedakah tatzil mimavos. Charity brings the future redemption. With the future redemption, everyone in the world will recognize how much God loves them. They'll all feel the Creator, and they'll feel the potential that they have to make the world a better place. Now, let us, the world is reaching a new low of destruction, not destruction, the opposite of the Creator. The Creator creates, and here there's the destruction. We have these, a crazy world. We're living in a crazy world. You get all these, the Arabs, the Muslims, whatever, are dedicated to just killing and everybody they can, just anyone they can. That's like a really honorable and valuable and desirable thing, to them, to just kill and destroy, and they praise each other. The murderers are praised by everybody, and the pictures are on people's walls. And these people are supported by the left, which seems to be ruling the world now. Seems to be ruling the world. All these heads of countries and the United Nations and all that are ruled by these suicidal leftists. They don't want any children. They want there are for abortion, for all these crazy, obsessed. They're obsessed with sex. It's just really crazy. That you have to be this type of sex, and a man can be a woman it's just like this obsession with sex, and don't tell me what to do, and I'll kill you if you do. And everybody's killing everybody else. And the bad guys are the Jews, right? The bad guys are the Jews. What do they want to? And they blame the Jews for the world it's totally upside down, and that is like a dream. That's like this week's Torah portion, especially this week's Torah portion. Everything is upside down. Good is bad, bad is good. It says an elephant can jump through the hole of a needle. So the hole of a needle is not small anymore. No, the hole of a needle used to be a small thing. No, it's big. Elephants used to be big. No, now elephants are small. They can jump through. So the world is crazy. So is there a solution? Of course there is. There's a solution. That's what happened with Yosef. What happened with Yosef? In those days, we'll see that Egypt ruled the whole world. Egypt ruled the whole world. It says that Paro was a melech b'kippah. He ruled over the whole world. And Yosef was a person that ruled over absolutely nobody. Everybody ruled over him. He was a prisoner. He was the lowest of the low. He was a Jew in prison, right? So the prisoners, they were the lowest, but the Jews, they were like hated by everybody else. The minister of wine said, right? This is the despisable person, a despicable person. But all of a sudden, the king had these dreams, and Yosef proved earlier that he was good at interpreting dreams, and suddenly everything turned around. 1 second. He said, take him out of the pit. And the king said, Yosef, I had a dream really bothered me. And Yosef interpreted it in a way that the king was pleased. Now, the king had ample interpreters of dreams. Dreams are things that have puzzled mankind since mankind, having dreams. A really bizarre thing, why God made such a thing in the world. People go to sleep and they dream. Yeah, go to sleep, you rest up. They have to have dreams for. Dreams that they have served no purpose. These stupid dreams in your mind, they have no purpose whatsoever, right? You wake up in the morning, you're all aggravated because you lost your leg in a Ferris wheel, and a monster from outer space ate it. Just crazy, stupid dreams. You wake up in the morning, think, I'm so aggravated. You don't even for nothing. Right? The thing is, people get all aggravated about the world, and the world is just what your attitude is. People go crazy about money and about pleasures and about these things, and they evaporate. They're just nothing. So the whole world becomes like this big dream. Why does God do this? Why does God do it? So we'll see. There's a big purpose to it, and that's what we're going to get to. So Yosef, the dream of Yosef here what was the story about Yosef? Yosef, first of all, he had some dreams. And he dreamed that his father and his mother and everything, they're going to bow down to him. And this made everybody mad. And then Yosef gets thrown into the jail. And in the jail, there's two ministers that have dreams. And the one that we're concerned with here is the minister of wine. The minister of wine and the minister of bread, they have dreams, almost similar, almost identical dreams. And Yosef interprets the dream of the wine minister that you're going to get out. You're going to get out of here, and you're going to be and please don't forget me. You're going to get out. You're going to get to remember to tell Paro about me. And the bread minister, he had a similar dream, so he said, "Wow, that was pretty good." This guy he's a very positive person. So he said, "What's my dream about?" He said, "Oh, you're going to get killed. You're going to the king is going to kill you." And that's what happened. Okay, so what happened? The wine minister got out exactly like Yosef said, but he forgot what Yosef told him about mentioning his name to the king. Not only to forget, he forgot the whole incident. The wine minister. When did the wine minister suddenly remember to tell Paro about this Yosef who interprets dreams? When? 2 years later, when Paro has a dream. Paro has a dream. No one can answer it. Paro is trying to find an answer that satisfies him. And he goes to all of his soothsayers and his magicians and all of his sorcerers and all of his wise men and his advisors. And they consult the stars and they consult crystal balls, whatever they consult. They can't come up with an answer that satisfies him. They come up with answers. But the answers, the king said, "Nah, that's not it." So this guy, this wine minister says, "Wow, I remember, I had a dream, and there's this Jew, but you don't want to talk to the Jews, it's disgusting. They're low people." The king says, "Go on, continue. What do you got to say?" There was this Jewish guy, and he told me about this dream, and he interpreted it properly. Just bring him out. I want to hear him. And that was Yosef. And Yosef interpreted the Paro's dream in a way that satisfied Paro. Namely, he told Paro what the dream meant and that there was a way to fix it up. He said that your dream is foretelling a catastrophe. There's going to be, that's why you're unsettled, Paro. There's going to be 7 years of famine, and you can fix it up. How are you going to fix it up? That's another reason why you're unsettled, because you know that there's an answer and you don't know what it is. There's a solution. And he tells him what the solution is. Save up food from the 7 years of plenty, and then there's going to be... So Paro says, this is a good answer. Take him out. Take Yosef. He's no longer a prisoner. They say, wipe off his record, and now you become number 2 in the country. You become the viceroy. Roy means a king. Viceroy. You becomes the viceroy of the whole country. And basically the king said, you know what? I sort of need a rest. You become the king. No one can lift up their foot in their hand without you, Yosef. So we see that what happened, the whole thing depends on the minister of wine. Here we go. And it was at the end of 2 years. Let's see. And it was at the end of 2 years, and Paro had a dream. What does it mean? 2 years after what we finished last week. How did we finish last week? The end of last week was that the wine minister got out, and he did not remember Yosef, and he forgot him. That's what it was, the end of last week's Torah portion. And now, 2 years later, at the end of 2 years, that's how this week's Torah portion begins. Miketz, at the end of 2 years, as he remembered, this parsha mechuber is joined to the Torah portion, which is before it. What does it say before? But lo zachar tzar hamashkim et Yosef, that the minister of wine did not remember Yosef, and he forgot him. Because shelo zachar, because he did not remember Nitava, this was created by Miketz, that was the end. What it means, the end? It means the end of his exile, of Yosef's imprisonment, and it's going to be the end of our exile also. Let me make this bigger. Now, we Jews are also in prison. We're in exile. What's going to get us out of it is the dream of the wine minister. And the Rebbe is going to explain how we're going to get out of this exile. Now, just to remind everybody, what does it mean, exile? What basically does it mean? What does it mean, exile, and what does it mean to get out of exile? So let's say there's two ways that you can punish people. I don't know why they don't do this. They could save a lot of money. There's two ways that you can punish a criminal. Physical punishment, this coming to him, capital punishment, corporal punishment. You can put him into prison, you can make him suffer, you can put him into a dungeon with this. That's one way to do. But then there's another way that I'm proposing now, and that is hypnotizing. When a person is hypnotized, he genuinely feels and senses all of the senses that an awakened person feels. You are in prison. The walls are very cold. You cannot touch the walls. You are hungry. It is dark. You cannot see. Right? Hypnotize the person. So he's just sitting in a room. You don't have to spend any money for jails. Right? You just hypnotize the person, and he puts a little electrode in his brain or something, and make him imagine. You make him imagine he's in prison. You can make him imagine that the doors are locked, and you make him imagine that he's cold, and it's cold, and he's hungry, and it's frightening, and it's dark, and everything can be in his mind. You don't have to spend the money on prisons with guards and everything like that. Everything in his mind. Okay, it's an idea. I don't know if it's a practical idea, but the fact is it is in practice, that's what all the Jews are right now. We're all hypnotized into believing that God is far away and that maybe he doesn't exist and that he can't help us and that we are in prison and we are selfish and who am I and what I'm this and I am that. Right? I am a normal person. I am a regular person. I am this. Right? The fact is, Jewish people are chosen by God. God is the creator of the world, and we're chosen to make the world a better place. And the world should have we should have a positive effect on the world, and we should learn from the world how to what has to be done in order to fix up the world. That's what it's supposed to be. But we're hypnotized, so we're selfish. People go crazy. And because of us, we teach the whole world to be selfish. We're supposed to be examples to the world of people that wake up. Okay, so here's the way to wake up. Now the Rebbe is trying to say, this is what got Yosef out of prison, the wine minister. Let's go. Hine, behold. And that's Geula. That's Geula. We wake up, we wake up. Our minds change. The Jews got physically out of Egypt, but they weren't spiritually and mentally out of Egypt. They were still selfish. Okay, Hine, Yesh Daled Yesodos. There are 4 elements in the basic elements in the soul of man: earth, air. No, I'm sorry, I made this up. I'm sorry. I'm going to Aish, fire, Ruach, air, Mayim, water, Afar, and dirt. Okay, the 4 elements. That's the four elements. And there is fire, wind, water, and earth. Yes, so is the foundation of fire, this element of fire. Where is that in our soul? In the heart, our emotions. Umakar lechot, the place of the home of water in our soul comes from the brain. The brain, that's where water comes from. That's what your brain can quench the fire of your heart. Rhea and the lungs, they draw all sorts of liquid, and they, from the brain, by means of the windpipe, and they cool off the heart. Okay, so the brain cools off the heart via the lungs. Okay, so what do we have up to now? The brain is water, the heart is fire. Became beneficial lokit, and also that's in the normal soul. Also in this godly soul, yes, the element of water is in the brain. This is chachma v'dat b'avodat Hashem. This is opening your mind to be aware of not the world, but God. Now, God cannot be perceived by your eyes and your ears, not now anyway. I mean, it could be if we could just interpret things properly, but we don't. So our eyes and our ears and our senses, they sense the world, but our brain and our heart can sense God, but mostly our brain. Serving God, you have to use your brain in order to think about God in your brain and in your thoughts. And Chassidut, that's Chabad. Chabad is Chachma Bina Dat. Chachma is having the right concept of what God is, what you're looking for. Bina is understanding that concept, how it can be that God creates the world, how it can be that God cares about us, how it can be that God gave the Torah, right? How it can be that God reacts to us. That's explained. That's Bina. That's understanding. And that means making it real. So that's serving God with your mind. With your mind. Even though there's no thought that can grasp God, we're going to get to the wine minister soon. Even though there is no thought that can possibly grasp God, God creates us. We can't understand that. But nevertheless, it is written, Noda b'sharim bala, that it is a commandment to try to know God. God is our husband, so to speak. At Mount Sinai, we got married to God. And it says that God is known in the gates. Everybody has their own gates of understanding, ways that you can appreciate God. There's what to think about. True, the essence of God you can't understand. You can't understand what God is, how God existed before the world was created. There was God is not created. How can there be a thing that exists and it's not created? But God exists, but he's not created, and he doesn't exist in any way that we understand. And God creates everything in the world. This we can't understand. But on the other hand, we can understand that the world is not creating itself. The world is not God. Right? Nothing can create itself, right? Everybody agrees nothing. So how does the world here? How does the world exist? Can't be that it creates itself. Nothing creates itself. So you say, well, from God. Well, what about God? God also can't create himself. Says God is an exception. God is a different type of reality. God is not spiritual. Spiritual is only created. So it says, but nevertheless, all these things exist and they must be created. So God, who is not created, creates them. How does this happen? I don't know, but something we can understand. There must be some sort of a process that's in action here that we can comprehend. And that's what the books of Kabbalah talk about, and especially Chassidut talks about. What is the process that God uses in order to create the world? And then even deeper, what is the process that God used in order to give the Torah? And what's the process involved that God reacts to his will when we do the Torah? Right? Well, the Torah is God's will, and God reacts when we do. So a little bit we can understand. Says God can be known in the gates. That's what Chabad Chassidut is about. To try to understand God as much as possible. Hainu, to think, how God's aspects of God's greatness. How God is high without any end, and he's below without any stopping. You see a beautiful sunset. This is just so beautiful, fantastic, amazing. You're just so inspired by it. It's just so calming and so awesome, right? And you think, but God is creating this. Wow, God must really, really be awesome. Huh? So that's not a normal thought that people think, But that's what that's what the Jews are here to tell people to think, and how to say, outside of the box, outside of the creation. So when you think of this, that God is really creating everything, and that God is below without any end, every little detail is being created, and there's nothing outside of God. Einod milvado, ki baruch piv kol savon, because then just in the breath of God's mouth, He created all the hosts. Bakulam kamei, and everything in front of God is like nothing. It's infinitely more than what we think is nothing. It's just something like what we think is nothing, but it's infinitely. Ukamola mashal, for instance, diburo shel adam, like for instance, the word of a man. When you speak a word, that before that word comes out of your mouth, it was in your mind. What was that word when it was in your mind? It's totally nothing. And think about what that is compared to the person's soul, his ability. And one little word is considered to be nothing compared to God, compared to even a man. How much more so with God? God created the whole world with one word. So the world is like nothing compared to God. But nevertheless, He did create it. So at least it gives us a little appreciation of, number one, the greatness of God. Number two, how how impossibly far away God is from our understanding. But on the other hand, how infinitely close God is. He's creating us. Here we are, we're being created by God. And finally, God wants us to try to appreciate it. That's the motto of the Jewish people. Shema Yisrael, understand, Jews, that God is one. Shema means to understand. And we want to make the whole world understand. V'zeu kol adam. That's the whole essence of what man is here. That's the whole essence of what man is, to appreciate God. B'fum shiri delay, according to his ability, yochel adad, he can know, l'hasig, and to understand, ki ein od, there's nothing except him, for him, in heaven, on the earth, or the earth, except for God. B'kal elyonim, and all the upper worlds and the lower worlds, they are drawn from God's breath. The ein davar chutz memenu, there's nothing outside of God. I mean, what does it mean? This is all man. This is the entirety of man. Entirety of man. Is there such a thing as the entirety of man? Yes, look at the world. Look at the world. What is the world? You have a person that's a movie star. Oh, this is a man. This is what I would like to. Look how popular, a rock and roll star. Okay, maybe I can't, and I'm not a movie star. I'm not so handsome. Maybe I'm not this, but a rock and roll star. Look at this guy. He can't sing a note. He's terrible. Everybody loves him. Everybody's watching. He makes $1 million for every performance. That's what I want to be. Everybody's going to clap their hands. I can also be a rock star. What's the problem? Right? Another person says, no, not a rock star. I'm rich. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be famous. Right? This guy was nothing, absolutely nothing. It just happened to be that he found a couple diamonds and now he became rich and everybody likes him. Now he said, oh, so I'll be rich. What is considered to be really a human being nowadays in the world? If you're popular, if you're powerful, maybe working behind the scenes, you control things, you're powerful, right? You're handsome, you're beautiful, you're this. That's what's considered to be valuable, right? Valuable. In the time of the war, like in Germany, if you were, a warrior, a fighter, you want to loyal to the heart, that's a man. This is a man. This is a general, a great, right? This is a person, right? As soon as they lost, that's the terrible. Look at this. They're awful. They're terrible. What is the value of man? What is considered to be? That's what a man really is, right? So up to now, it's been very stupid things. Very stupid things. Generally speaking, not always. But sometimes there's once in a while, there's people that are really good people and they're made known for good. And then after a while, they make an investigation. They discover the person was a debauched monster or something like that. So the Torah here is telling you what really man is. What is really man? Not what people think about you. No. What really is man? A person that appreciates God and acts accordingly. Then all of your deeds are eternal. You're eternal. And whether people appreciate it or they don't appreciate it, The fact of the matter is what you're doing is infinitely meaningful. Whether you're a Jew, you're not a Jew. If you appreciate God, you appreciate and you act according to what God wants, those are laws and principles that never change. It could be that people deny them or they make fun of you or whatever. That's the message of the Jewish people, how to live a real life, to live according to real, genuine values and feel real, genuine responsibility to really and genuinely improve the world, even in a little tiny way. It says, therefore, that's the whole essence of man, is to think about God and to appreciate God and then to act accordingly. Therefore, because all of the worlds, the physical worlds that we think are so important, they're really like nothing. That's the foundation of, we said, of the element of water, your mind. Then there's fire. What's fire? Fire is that your thoughts, they inflame your heart. The heart that understands bitbona, then your heart starts to understand when you contemplate the greatness of God. How it is that everything in front of God is really nothing and that God is creating everything. So in God's eyes, everything is very important because he's creating everything. But in our eyes, we should realize that it's just a miracle that God is creating it, because really everything is really nothing. Therefore, your soul will long for God with a tremendous love. God is loving us unconditionally. He's creating us. He's creating the whole world. So therefore, we return a little bit of this love. This is love that goes up, and it's like a flame that goes up on its own. You don't want anything of, you don't want to go with anything below. You don't want to have anything to do with your previous desires. But everyone else is running after money, and they're running after pleasures, and they're running after power, and they're running after popularity and all these things. And you realize all these things are stupid. Those things are crazy. I mean, if they occur, why not? To be rich, to be popular, there's nothing wrong with that. But to run after those things are the most valuable things in the world. Those are just creations. Those are just creations. They're nowhere near as valuable as my creator. God is creating me. He's not sitting up in some building, right? Then he's some mountain or something. He's creating me personally. And everybody feels, wow, my creator is creating all this popularity and all this money. He's infinitely close to me. He's creating me. And you start to appreciate, therefore, the creator. And you don't want anything in the world like fire. Fire is drawn from below to above, which is not the case. Water goes from above to below. That water comes down from a high place to a low place. What does that mean? When you start to contemplate what God is and you think about it in your mind, right, then it comes down to think, your final thought is, well, why is God creating me? You want to bring that awareness into the creation. That's the idea of Torah and commandments. That's what God did. God came into the world and he gave the Torah and the commandments. 3 million witnesses, eyewitnesses in Mount Sinai. Le'ir al-nafsho, to shine to his soul, also when the soul is below in the world, like it says, Bal korcha atachai. Maybe you, in your mind, you might think about God and your heart gets inflamed, but then you start to realize, hey, 1 second, but God wants me to be here. He wants me to be in the world. God gave the Torah in the world to fix up the world. That's like water. Water puts out the fire. Also, by means of this, you have a tremendous desire for God. You start to think, how about how great God is? But then all of a sudden you realize, hey, 1 second, but God gave the Torah in this world. He wants us to be here. That thought calms down the fire, or even more, it channels the fire of your heart. Like it says, anyone who's thirsty, come to water. It's something like, somebody realized the principle of combustion. And they realized that it's possible to contain the power of combustion. You take gasoline, you light it, it's a big explosion. But if you take gasoline and you light it in, let's say, a little a can, put it in a can, and you light it, then the explosion is, just really, but if the can is like really, really strong of iron, then it won't break. It'll just be explosion inside and won't break. Then you can use that power to push down a piston. Ooh, and you can attach that to a wheel and it'll make the wheel run. You have a combustion engine. You can make use of the fire. Suddenly, the fire is not destructive. Fire becomes constructive. The same thing is with Torah and the commandments. When you think about what God is and you send those ideas to your heart becomes very excited. It doesn't want to have anything to do with the world. It just wants to be close to God. The world is a big lie. It's a big fake out. People get excited. They give their lives for absolutely nothing. For power, for popularity, who knows what. Or money. It's stupid. It's no point. What's the real point? God. God, so you don't want to have anything to do with the world. Get out of the world. The world is a terrible place. It's just one big bluff. It's one big, mirage, the whole world. But then you start to think, that's your heart starts flaming. But then your mind says, one second, but God gave the Torah. And he gave the Torah in the world. And God gave the Torah so that I would do what he wants, no, not what I want. And that's like putting this fire into a side of a piston. It controls it so that it can become useful in the world. The Torah is like the piston. The Torah is like the engine that contains this fire. Therefore, this fire that you have in your heart can be put, this is talking about Jews. Non-Jews are not supposed to learn the Torah, get excited about the Torah. They can get excited about that there is the Torah, but not to learn the Torah. They're not supposed to learn the Torah. This is the idea of this is the source of the letters of the Torah. That's like the piston that controls this fire. Like it says, kana chachma kana bina. If you possess wisdom, you possess understanding. And that is the Saramashkin. This is the minister of wine. Mashkin means of drink, or the toastmaster. That's the minister that forgot, that Yosef spoke to. This is the minister of drinks. Shabo shoev areya, that says that the lungs pull water and calms down the heart. So in this, we're going to see how this is relevant to us. Yosef is in prison, and there is over there the minister of drinks, of liquid. It's called the minister of wine because that's what the drink was at those days. So the Rebbe says, you know what drink is? Drink is spiritually, it's pulling from the ideas in your mind to your heart, and then pulling the ideas from your mind to your heart to inflame your heart, and then pulling the ideas from your mind also to contain that flame, to use it to serve God. Okay, so when you're chalom, that is the dream of the wine minister. Hainu, that's wine. It says wine. Lefanai, it says that there was water before, wine in front of me. I'm sorry. What was the dream? It says, Hine Geffen Lefanai. Geffen means a vine. There's a vine in front of me. Geffen is a grapevine. The dream of the wine minister was, behold, Yosef said, what's wrong with you? He said, I had a dream. Tell me your dream. He said, behold, there was a cluster of grapes, like a vine in front of me, and I squeezed the grapes, and I squeezed the, let's go next page. And I squeezed the grapes, vetain at the coast, into the cup of Paro, made wine, and I gave the cup into the hand of Paro. That was the dream. Okay, how do we explain the dream? The vine, the cluster of grapes, that's the Jewish people, Knesset Yisrael. That's what's called the gathering of the Jewish souls, the source of the Jewish souls. Shiklalot called Neshamat Yisrael. This is the cluster of Jewish souls. The Anavim, and each and every grape, these are the sparks of individual souls. Shekol nitzutz, that every spark of the soul is called a grape, one grape. Hibakol nitzutz, in every spark of godliness, there is every spark and every spark of godliness, which is every grape of every individual Jewish soul. There is wine which makes God and people happy. Yain ha'mesamech Elokim va'anashim. It's a sentence in, what is it, in Judges? Shehu b'chinet ahava. And so the wine is the Jewish soul. And the grapes are the Jewish soul. The wine is the love of God contained inside of the soul, every Jewish soul. The wine which is contained inside of every Jewish soul. This is a concealed love to rejoice in God. Rejoice in God. Like we said before, when is a person happy? Say, I want to be rich. He becomes rich, he's happy. He's happy. He's not happy for long, but he's happy. I want to be famous. He becomes famous. I'm happy. Makes a big party. I'm happy. Today I received the Oscar, whatever. He's happy. What makes a person happy? When he feels important, when he reached some sort of a goal. He's happy. He says, but that happiness goes away. There's genuine happiness is to be happy in God. What are you happy? What's there to be happy about? God is creating you. You feel happy. God is the power of creation, not just the power of success or the power of whatever it is of richness or this pleasure. God has the power of creating all these things. To connect to God, that's the right. Like sometimes when a person gets married, usually it's a happy thing. Why are you happy? Because you're meeting someone that's your mate, a new future. To meet God, God is really your mate. It's a new future. He's the creator of it. So how do we be happy in God? He says that's the wine. That's really the job of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are chosen to make a happy world, to reveal to everyone that God is creating them, and God is the source of all good, of all, how do you say? If you're happy at a wedding, if you're happy when you win, the Oscar or the whatever is the Nobel Prize, how much more you should be happy to be connected to the Creator. This is an inheritance to the Jewish people from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But this love is concealed. It's very concealed, just like wine, which is concealed in the grapes. Shana, that the grape is round and it's smooth, and it contains this wine which is inside of it from all sides. You could never guess from a grape that there's wine inside. You can't bring out the grape juice, the wine from the grape, unless you squeeze it and you crush it in the wine vat. The same thing, this joy is inside of every single Jew, but it has to be squeezed. That's why God made the world. That's why God made grapes. Now, God did not just create wine. You have to, first of all, remove me'alav a klipa. You have to remove the shell of the grape, a sovever, which conceals the wine. Kach also, it is impossible to reveal from the inside of our souls this love of the Jewish people. Ki'im, only bechinas mevachim, by means of crushing it. Not nice to say, but that's the fact. How do we crush ourselves in order to be happy? Shuffle ruach b'fnei kol adam, to be humble. To simply be humble, to be grateful to God that we're being created, and that if someone embarrasses us or shames us or whatever, so we're not thinking about what that person did to me, because who am I? I'm just a creation of God. I'm lucky even to be here. I'm lucky just to be here. I'll tell you something that happened to me yesterday. I came out of some building and there was someone that just started yelling at me. He just started yelling, "What are you doing? What do you think you're doing over here? What are you trying to do?" And I said, I don't understand what you, and the guy had this, he was talking on the phone. He had, he had a thing in his ear. He had a thing in his ear, and you can talk. You don't have to have a microphone in front of you, right? So he had a thing in his ear, and he was talking to that person over there. But I really, he was talking to me. He was looking at me. He was just, his eyes were like glazed over because he was talking to this person. So he thought, what did you do that for? You can't do that. You have to this. And he was yelling at the person, but I thought it was obvious that he was yelling at me. He was looking right at me. And he was talking. I didn't see that there was a little thing in his ear. Right? The thing in his ear. It's the same thing with the world, right? The world yells at you and says, you're stupid, you're this, you're a loser, you're crazy of this. But they're not really yelling at you. The world is yelling, who knows what? What am I? I'm a creation of God. I'm just lucky I'm even here. I'm just lucky that I'm even here. If what the person says might be relevant to me, so I have to learn from it to be a better person, right? If it's a nice thing, I have to say thank you. You have to react, but you react in the way that the Creator wants you to do, because you're basically not even supposed to be here. It's just a miracle that you are. And the fact that we are here means that God really loves us. He really wants us to be here. And that makes a tremendous happiness. That's what happiness. But the only way we can bring it out is by humility. And sometimes the world has to humble us. It's impossible to reveal the love only by means of difficulties in the world. That's what it means. You have to be humble in front of everybody. Not necessarily that other people humble us. You yourself, you don't have to wait for tragedies to occur to the Jewish people or for tragedies to occur to you. You just look at yourself, like I'm dirt. Lakal tiyeh. Kaskafa nidresses. Everyone can walk on me. No problem. God created me in order to improve other people. Because what makes me get angry when people do things or get depressed when things don't go the way I am? Because I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking that I'm so tremendously important. You should be successful in the world. You should be rich. You should have infinite amount of money. You should use all of your power, all of your intelligence that you have to be successful and to be good. But you have to realize that all these things are gifts from God. They're all gifts. It's not my mind and my power and my talent. It's the talents that God gave me. If things don't work properly, you should definitely feel bad. Read Psalms. King David definitely felt bad. But on the other hand, King David was always bringing his problems to the Creator. That's the book of Psalms. So that's revealing the true love which is inside of us, the true happiness. Even a person that never had any sins in his life, nevertheless, he has to remove the foreskin of his heart. Like it says, you have to circumcise the foreskin of your heart, namely that which your heart gets all excited from the fantasies of this world. This is not an easy thing to do because near impossible, but it's not impossible. With God, everything is possible. The Jews were in Egypt; they would never get out. Joseph was in the pit. There was no way that Joseph could possibly get out of prison. He had no friends, no connections, no lawyer working for him. He had absolutely nothing except for God. And the Torah tells us his own brothers hated him. And nevertheless, one day, he just got out. Why? Because of a dream. He explained the dream. He says that we have to do the same exact thing, that we have to remove from our hearts the prison that we're imprisoned. We're self-imprisoned inside of our own hearts, just like Joseph was imprisoned. When we remove that, suddenly we can get out. This is called orla. It's called the foreskin, which covers over this love, this godliness, which is in our heart, which is concealed. But it has to be that it's not concealed anymore, and that there shouldn't be any wall that separates between us and God. Not even a thin wall. That's called the ora priya. in circumcision, there's two skins that you have to remove for the child when you circumcise. There's the thick skin, the outer skin, and then there's a thin skin that's there. It's also usually the mohel, the circumciser, removes it with his fingernails. Then afterwards, okay, so that's what happened with the minister, his dream. He said, first of all, he crushed the grapes. That's talking about us having humility, and that humility brings us to loving God. And afterwards, it's I put the cup in the hand of Paro. Okay, and this I think we're going to do tomorrow. This is what we're going to do tomorrow. That the minister of wine crushed the grape. That's like us feeling humble and removing our false egotism and selfishness. And then we can reveal the wine. And after the wine, we put the wine in the cup of Paro. What does that mean we're supposed to do now to get out of our exile? That we're going to talk about, God willing, tomorrow.